This podcast is sponsored by AXA Farm Insurance. AXA offers tailored cover to fit your unique needs, whether it's public liability or protection for your family home, outbuildings or farm vehicles. Based in Athlone, the AXA Farm team of agri-specialists and regional managers work together to ensure you receive the seamless support you need. Switching to AXA is easy thanks to an innovative online service that enables you to quickly and easily find the best cover for your needs. For more information, head to AXA.ie. AXA Insurance DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to the Farming Week, the podcast from Agriland keeping you up to date with all the latest in Irish agriculture. I'm Charles O'Donnell and I'm joined by Agriland journalists Aisling O'Brien and Maitiú Monaghan. Well, just before we launch into the news of the week, we're going to bring you fresh breaking news this evening. The European Commission has launched a consultation on what products imported from the United States will have tariffs applied to them. This is part of the ongoing trade tensions between US President Donald Trump and the European Union. The proposed counter-tariffs would amount to €95 billion and includes several different meat categories across different types of cuts, as well as dairy and soya products. This is very much a developing story, so stay tuned to Agriland for more details. But the talk this week and much of last week in agriculture has been dominated by the decision of Minister for Agriculture Martin Hayden to call an extraordinary meeting with farm organisations and stakeholders on the worryingly increasing trends on TB. Aisling, as the world watches events in Rome, this meeting on TB has somewhat of a conclave feel to it. But what do we know is being discussed?
Yeah, and definitely no sign of white smoke from Ag House is just yet, Charles, because as you said, this TB summit is taking place, called by Minister for Agriculture Martin Hayden, and there is a gathering going on today. It's currently ongoing as we're recording the podcast, but what we do understand ahead of the event was that the Department of Agriculture is putting forward around 30 draft proposals to tackle the rising incidence of bovine TB across the country. Now, it is understood that this meeting is going to include bilateral discussions, which will involve kind of smaller meetings taking place between the stakeholders. And I suppose it's important to say that includes industry representatives, it includes the likes of ICOS, and of course the farm organisations as well are involved with these discussions. And those bilateral discussions taking place between the stakeholders and Minister Hayden, these breakout sessions before all of the members of the summit come back together to what we assume is to maybe sign off on these or to maybe agree to go back to their individual organisations to see if agreement can be reached. So we did report previously here on Agriland that over 20 proposed measures had been put forward to the TB Forum, but now it seems that these have been enhanced and expanded upon for today's TB Summit. Now there's a number of headings under which the department is going to be presenting these 30 odd draft proposals, and they include supporting herds to remain free of TB, reducing the impact of wildlife on the spread of TB, detecting and eliminating infection as early as possible in herds with a TB breakdown and avoiding future breakdowns, helping farmers to improve all areas of on-farm biosecurity and to reduce the impact of known high-risk animals in spreading TB. Now, we don't have time, obviously, to go through all 30 proposals here on the podcast, Charles, but just some of them. We do expect that one of the proposals includes that information on TB herd risk category would be provided at point of sale for all cattle. And that would actually involve the department overhauling the current herd categorisation model to increase the number of herds in the best, which would be the low risk category, and then only high risk breakdowns would impact a herd's categorisation or rating at point of sale. Now, the proposed actions would facilitate earlier detection of TB before infection is spread through animal movement by requiring a 30-day pre-movement test only under the EU Animal Health Law. Farmers would be encouraged to engage in one herd contract rearing arrangements only, and if calves from more than one herd are contract reared together, a pre-movement test into the rearing herd will be required for calves. And then then all animals returning from a contract rear will require a 30-day pre-movement test. Now, the proposals also include the development of a national breeding strategy to increase the resistance of the national cattle herd to bovine TB as well. And they are looking at different types of testing here as well. And when it comes to detecting herds with a TB breakdown as quickly as possible, it's understood that the targeted gamma infron, the GIF testing, which is blood testing of the exposed cohort in large breakdowns of breeding herds, would be used to reduce residual infection as well. And under the proposals, this blood testing would be mandatory in herds of 60 cows or more, where 5% of the exposed cohort tests positive, or 10 reactors, whichever is the lesser. Now, it's also understood that the proposals state that all high-risk breakdowns will require 2 clear skin tests at least 6 months apart to be de-restricted. There's also some proposals when it comes to sales as well. One proposal states that it would prevent the sale of cows that were part of the exposed cohort at the time of a breakdown in breeding herds over 60 cows or more, where 5% of the exposed cohort tested positive, or 10 reactors, whichever is the lesser, to farms for 3 years after de-restriction. And cows could still be sold, though, directly to controlled finishing unit CFUs or direct to slaughter in that 3-year period. As I said, there's a lot more in terms of unweaned dairy calves here as well, Charles, but it is obviously a big meeting today. TB has become a huge issue right across the country. They're obviously looking at issues like wildlife as well, and the department are saying that only badgers that have tested negative for the disease will be vaccinated against it as well. So, this is very important, Charles, because we are seeing the TB rates. We've said it here in the podcast for quite some time now. They're only going in the wrong direction, and that is not for the lack of money that is being spent on the National TB Eradication Programme. Over €100 million was spent last year on that programme, but despite that, over 41,600 TB reactors were detected in 2024, which is a 44% jump on the previous year. And if the trend continues, the department has warned that we can expect over 60,000 TB reactors in this country this year, and over 6,000 farms were impacted by a TB outbreak last year as well. And it's something that we do need to get a handle on. There is, I suppose, some difficult choices to be made today by members at this TB summit. Obviously, some of these measures might be unpalatable to farmers. The IFA, the Irish Farmers Association, has come out today, and they're not too happy with some of the proposals being put on the table, and maybe the burden being shifted back onto farmers as part of this. I suppose the department would say, though, that what we're doing at the moment isn't working, and I think everybody across the board can agree on that. But how we get out of this and how we turn the tide, has to be really trashed out today at this TB summit. But as we get more information from the summit, we will have it on our website and app, of course. So definitely stay tuned.
Now, moving over to events in Europe, and the European Commission has hosted an event today on shaping the future of farming and the agri-food sector, which follows on from the Commission's unveiling of its vision for agriculture and food. The Common Agricultural Policy and farm payments in general was one of the topics discussed at the event, which was attended by European Commissioner for Agriculture Christoph Hansen, while the opening speech was given by Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Here's a little bit of what President von der Leyen had to say about CAP.
Over 60 years ago, the European Union committed to a fair standard of living for farmers. So the future of CAP will be simpler and more targeted. It will support an ambitious agricultural policy with a stronger focus on upcoming challenges.
Well, for more on this, we're joined now by Agriland's Maitiú Monaghan, who's in Brussels this week for the conference. Maitiú, what have been the main takeaways?
Thanks, Charles. Yeah, I'm here in Brussels where Commissioner Hansen has addressed the conference about the vision for agriculture and food. The talk around the conference centre this morning was that the vision is too vague, but the Commissioner stressed that it is only the first step in an EU programme. Commissioner Hansen also said that he intends to keep direct income support and direct payments as the main tool supporting the farming community going forward. In terms of EU policy, the Commissioner believes that if it isn't broken, there's no need to fix it, and that EU policies require evolution and not revolution. There was an interesting detail as well, where he said that over the last 10 years, the EU has lost more than 3 million farms, but that there are 9 million farms remaining. This led into a discussion about generational renewal, where young farmer groups called on the EU to provide supports to assist with generational renewal in the short and medium term.
Thanks for that, Matthew. Well, just while we're on CAP, and as we're recording the podcast at the moment, it's Thursday, May 8th, which means the deadline for applying for BIS and other CAP Pillar 1 measures is just a week away. As of yesterday, Wednesday, over 93,000 applications have been made since the 2025 scheme opened to farmers on February 11th. Some 124,000 farmers applied for BIS last year, so a large number of applications will be expected in the next 7 days. Meanwhile, the controversial standard for the protection of wetlands and peatlands under CAP conditionality is now in force. The standard is known as GAIC 2, which stands for Good Agricultural and Environmental Conditions, and it entered into force in Ireland following final approval by the European Commission on April 30th, so that's something to be mindful for farmers. And just staying briefly with farm payments, the baling assistance payment, which was introduced last year to support tillage farmers in baling straw, will not return for 2025, Agriland understands. The department announced in February that €1.9 million in payments will be made to participating farmers in respect of 2024, but it does appear now that this is a one-off measure for last year only. But moving on now, and the Minister for the Environment, Darragh O'Brien, has announced that used tyres will be collected from farms this year. Aisling, can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, so the Minister has confirmed that Circle ELT, which operates the country's tyre compliance scheme, is planning to collect used tyres lawfully held on farms this year. Now, the Minister said the collection is part of a move to support the agriculture sector to adapt to regulations which are set out in a scheme designed to ensure that producers have responsibility to finance the collection and environmentally sound waste management of their products at end of life. Now, agricultural tyres had been scheduled to be included in this extended producer responsibility or EPR scheme, and it operates similar to the system which is in place for farm plastics from the beginning of this year. Now, under existing legislation which was introduced back in 2017, tyre producers pay an environmental management cost, an EMC, to Circle ELT, who organise the collection of these end-of-life tyres. Now, previously, agricultural truck or bus or construction and industrial tyres did not incur this management cost. But it was proposed by the government last year that from January 1st of this year, the EPR scheme would include all categories of bus, truck, agricultural, construction and industrial waste tyres. Now, a spokesperson for the Department of the Environment told Agriland that currently the regulations do not impose a visible environmental management cost on agricultural truck, bus, construction and industrial tyres. And they added that the Waste Action Plan for a Circular Economy does commit to extending this provision to these categories of tyre to ensure best environmental management and the fair distribution of costs across the sector. And the department said that the management of used tyres is a technological, economic and ecological challenge for this country. Now, last year it did hold a consultation, Charles, on extending the EPR scheme, which also included proposed new management charges for various categories. Now, Minister O'Brien said although the consultation on the extension of the scheme closed in late October, his department is currently considering the implications of an extension to that scheme. And he said any such extension is underpinned by careful analysis of the implications with a view to the long-term viability of an extended scheme. So I suppose what we take from that is currently there's no change, but there could be a change coming as well. So definitely watch this space. And it's something that the president of the IFA, Francie Gorman, previously warned about, the inclusion of agricultural tyres in this EPR scheme. And he felt it would create a new black economy and it would result in a significant reduction in VAT and revenue lost to the Irish Exchequer. So obviously more work to be done on this yet. And the minister saying that there is careful analysis ongoing at the moment, but a huge level of interest in that story this week on Agriland for sure.
Well, just before we move on, we just want to flag that farmers who have made a submission to dezone their lands under the residential zone land tax are being advised that they must now make a return to revenue on or before Friday, May 23rd, in order to avail of an exemption from the RZLT in 2025. This can be done by any individual by submitting a return on the RZLT portal through the Revenue online resources. The Irish Farmers Association is advising that those who are not familiar with these online portals should engage professional accountancy services to make this return. But moving on, and the Department of Agriculture has launched a survey aimed at the cohort of farmers commonly referred to as forgotten farmers. Aisling, can you remind us who the forgotten farmers are and what's the purpose of this survey?
Yeah, so the department refers to this group as well, Charles, as the long established young farmers, which, as you said, are far more commonly referred to as the forgotten farmers. So this is a group who had set up in farming before 2008. They were under the age of 40 in 2015, held no or low value payment entitlements under the basic payment scheme, and they were also not eligible for young farmer supports under the Common Agricultural Policy from 2015 due to the date that they had first set up in agriculture. Now, as part of Budget 2025, the department was allocated a sum of €5 million to provide support to these farmers. Now, the department said that a key first step in this process is to launch an online survey to help in determining the number of farmers who meet the criteria for forgotten farmers. Now, the online survey is going to allow individuals who meet this criteria to register their interest with the department, and you can log on to do that through the Ag Food portal until Friday, May 30th. So until the end of the month, if you want to get involved in this, and I know that there's a lot of farmers out there who this will impact. I think there was a rough figure at one point of somewhere in around 3,500 farmers, but this survey obviously is trying to pinpoint an exact total on how many forgotten farmers there are. So the department did say this week, Charles, that in order to complete the survey questions, farmers have to meet the following criteria. They have to have submitted a basic income support for sustainability or BIS scheme application under a herd number on which you're included in the year the proposed scheme will operate. They have to have submitted an application under the basic payment scheme, the BPS, in 2015 under the herd number that they are included, be aged no more than 40 in 2015, have set up as the head of an agricultural holding for the first time on or before December 31st, 2007, have successfully completed a recognised agricultural education course at FETAC Level 6 or the equivalent by May 29th of 2015, and did not previously benefit under the Young Farmers Installation Aid Scheme, or also didn't benefit under the BPS National Reserve, including allocations under the Scottish derogation. Now, the department said that this survey doesn't constitute an application for payment under a scheme at the moment. It's essentially just, I suppose, trying to get a hold on how many forgotten farmers are out there. And further details, including a guide to completing this online survey, are available on the department's website. But the important date to note is Friday, May 30th. If this is something that I suppose involves you or maybe one of your family members, just be sure to let them know about this, because it is very important in the step towards getting supports for this group of farmers.
We'll move on now. And there was a development this week, Aisling, on the long-running issue of new rules on the prescribing of antiparasitic veterinary medicines. Could you bring us up to speed on that?
Yeah, so we got confirmation this week from Minister Martin Hayden that the introduction of this requirement for antiparasitic vet medicines to be provided only with prescriptions has been deferred until September 1st. So from that date then, a veterinary prescription will be required for all antiparasitic veterinary medicinal products for food producing animals. Now, this date has been moved to acknowledge the significant change required, Charles, in the system, and moving to digital prescribing for both prescribers and the retailers of vet medicines, and also for farmers as well. Now, the Department of Agriculture said the digital prescribing via the National Veterinary Prescription System was introduced on January 13th for the prescribing and dispensing of all prescription-only veterinary medicines. And they said that there has been significant engagement with this system since January, but greater engagement is now needed in the intervening period to support what they're calling a smooth transition and maintenance of current supply chains. And Minister Martin Hayden said he was conscious that this is a marked change to the regulation of antiparasitics, and he said, but it is necessary to address the increasing challenge of antiparasitic resistance, and evidence-based prescribing, he said, will support farm productivity and food security into the future as well. So I think it is, it'll give a bit of breathing space to this. This is something obviously that's going to be a big change, and Merchants Alliance Ireland, it's welcomed the move from the department and the minister to defer this requirement as well. And the group said that there is a need for an urgent meeting with the minister on this new requirement, and the representative group of veterinary medicine suppliers said that the minister has so far not responded to their request to meet on this issue. So it's obviously something that they're going to continue. That alliance was formed earlier this year by ICOS, which is the Irish Cooperative Organisation Society, the Irish Licensed Merchants Association, and Acorn Independent Merchants, and they collectively represent over 550 outlets employing over 4,000 people across Ireland. So quite a big body there looking to meet with the minister about these changes, Charles, as well. But I suppose the important headline from that story this week is those changes deferred until September 1st to allow for more engagement.
Finally this week, an agri-themed work of art is drawing attention in West County Clare. Aisling, what's this about?
This is incredible, Charles. It's one of the most popular stories we've had this week on Agriland, and it's definitely worth logging onto the website or app if you haven't seen it. This is an absolutely incredible mural on the gable end of the house that is owned by artist Marcus Valboomer. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing his name right. Marcus is originally from Germany, but he's now living and working in Kilkee in County Clare with his wife. His wife hails from Switzerland, and the pair of them bought their house in County Clare. They fell in love with your own fair county, Charles, back in 2023. But Marcus is obviously a very, very talented artist, and he's created a number of murals, and this one has really caught the eye of the public because people are stopping in their cars to have a look at it, because it depicts essentially a frame, and there is a cow almost coming out 3D, a Frisian cow, and she just looks amazing in this, black and white against a blue backdrop. It's a coastal scene, but she's larger than life, kind of popping out of the frame. And there's a wonderful picture with the story that our colleague Caroline put together, and she spoke with Marcus about his journey into art. And obviously being an artist, it's not an easy profession, and it's something that it's probably a vocation a lot of the time. But he explained to Caroline that these murals, they would take about 2 to 3 weeks to complete, depending on their size, and the amount of work obviously then determines the price. But he estimated that this cow mural would cost around €3,000. So if you're in the mood to invest in some art, maybe on the gable wall of your farmhouse at home, this could be an option for you. And Marcus has said that he would like to find more clients for his murals in this country. He is open for commissions at any stage. So if it is something that you might be interested, he's another lovely one of a couple of hens as well. But very, very talented, and it's definitely an eye-catching addition to Kilkee, and it's a really stunning piece of art. So make sure to log on and check it out. And as I said, if you're in the market for a bit of art, why not?
Yeah, I'll have to spin down to Kilkee and check it out myself, Aisling, when I'm at home. Well, that, unfortunately, is where we're going to leave it for this week. Please don't forget to rate, review and follow The Farming Week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love if you could spare some time to give us 5 stars and share The Farming Week with anyone you think might be interested. From Aisling, Maitiú and myself, enjoy the weekend.
This podcast is sponsored by AXA Farm Insurance. AXA offers tailored cover to fit your unique needs, whether it's public liability or protection for your family home, outbuildings or farm vehicles. Based in Athlone, the AXA Farm team of agri-specialists and regional managers work together to ensure you receive the seamless support you need. Switching to AXA is easy thanks to an innovative online service that enables you to quickly and easily find the best cover for your needs. For more information, head to AXA.ie. AXA Insurance Stack is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.